Sup peeps, how's it going? Toofty here. Today we have another Sentry spot guide for you, and we're looking at Thunder Mountain. This is a really fun map to play in, especially in defence. There's lots of cool spots to build at. I've decided to break this out into 3 parts. This means I won't have to rush through the maps. And as usual, I'll try and hopefully discuss some of the slightly more unusual spots, as well as the more standard ones, and why I like to use them. But as always, keep exploring, keep finding new spots, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So to begin with, let's just quickly look at the map in its entirety. This is the cart, and this is the path which it travels down. Just before this bridge here, there's a control point. That brings the drawbridge up, and then you can continue to push the cart across the bridge, round the corner, and to the final point. So I've broken this map into 2 halves to make it a little bit easier to talk about. So let's jump straight into the first half. The blue team will be spawning in at the top here, and the most popular spot I tend to see other people building in is in this little kind of hut here. It's not too awful, but I do find this quite easy to take out as a demo man, so I don't personally build here myself. The second spot, which is also very popular, is in this kind of barny kind of thing here. Now this is a pretty decent spot. I do find this very difficult to take out when I'm on the offensive, but it's very, very popular, and there's almost always someone building up here. So I'm not going to talk about either of these positions today. Instead, I'm going to talk about an area of the map I really enjoy building in, which is basically just at the top of this slope in either of these buildings. The first one to the left here. So yeah, I just put my sentry gun in this building here, looking over the slope. This means anyone trying to push the cart to the top of the slope is immediately faced with a sentry gun, meaning the cart will fall back down the slope, which can work out really well for your team. Another option is to build on the other side here. I find this side a little bit trickier, just seeing as there's so many routes through, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So yeah, this is probably my favourite spot to build at for the first control point on Thunder Mountain. And it's just in this room here. The sentry gun basically faces through that door, covering the top of the slope, and the teleport and dispenser are somewhere within here too. Doesn't matter too much as long as they're nicely spread out. Basically your number 1 job is to teleport your team in to the very top of this slope, giving them a nice vantage point over the enemy. And then the second job is basically to just protect the top of this slope. So if anyone tries to push the cart up, as soon as they reach the top, they're immediately kind of confronted by my sentry gun. This basically means that if I am able to take them out, then the cart rolls back down to the bottom, and it can be really tricky to actually get through this choke point. So yeah, I'm not too picky as to where the sentry goes. You can have it further back, but sometimes I like to have it quite far forward just to make sure it's immediately covering the slope. In this map, I decide we're doing pretty decently, so I take the opportunity to actually destroy my sentry gun and get a bunch of crits on my Frontier Justice, which I really enjoy using. I've had a lot of questions about that. For me, it's mainly about enjoyment, and yeah, it's just a really fun gun to use. So yeah, I'm able to take out the gun, get some revenge kills, and then play slightly more aggressively. Once you're feeling pretty comfortable, you can just join your teammates on the top of the slope and apply that pressure to the enemy. But as I say, yeah, for me it's more just about making sure you're teleporting that team in, setting up a kind of base just at the top of this slope here, and I've had a lot of success with it. I've even had success, you know, using a mini sentry up here, and it's been a lot of fun to use. So briefly, as I mentioned earlier, you can set up on the other side in this building here. Basically, you want the sentry gun obviously to be covering the area outside as before, but also you kind of want it in a position so it's kind of covering the other doorways behind it, which can be really tricky to achieve. There's like 4 doorways into this area. That's what makes it kind of tricky to defend against. If the enemy's smart, they'll just pick a new route and they should be able to take out your sentry fairly easily. But yeah, I mean, I've had some fun in this spot too. I found just on the edge of this stairway pretty good. Here I move it a little bit further forward as someone had a line of sight onto it. People are coming through that doorway behind me. Just making sure I'm covering that myself with my shotgun to make sure I'm fending off from that direction. I put my teleporter on this top ledge here, but I do find out a little bit later that that's probably a bad idea because it was getting attacked across that top bridgeway. So I moved that into the corner, and that seems to work quite well too. So yeah, kind of a fun challenge to build up here. It's not going to be particularly easy, it'll keep you on your toes, and that's kind of how I like to play as an engineer anyway. But yeah, I think that demo man at the end there, he had the right idea. He came up from behind. If he was using his stickies and got a bunch down next to my sentry gun, he probably would have made kind of light work of it. But yeah, good fun to build here. Okay, so moving on to the second part of the map. The enemy team will be kind of coming in from this direction here over the bridge. Most engineers tend to build somewhere on the raised surface at the back here, either on the far right in the little alcove or just behind the fence on the left there. Both of these can be pretty decent, to be fair, as a last line of defense. There's no harm in just you can get a very quick sentry gun up in these positions. But if you are able to, I really recommend trying out a position a little bit further forward in this building here. So this spot is just really awesome to try out. It's kind of literally made for sentry guns. It's almost overpowered, it's so good. You'll see there's a little window in here, and it just about looks over the pathway of the cart. I guess the one downside is they can sneak past if they're clever and avoid getting shot by the sentry. But yeah, the nice thing is, if they do manage to sneak past, you can just whip your sentry around this corner, set it up again, and start covering the main area of the final control point. And finally, just to finish off, I'm briefly going to talk about this spot here. It's not an amazing spot, but it's kind of one I've had some fun with. It's very unexpected to see a sentry gun in this corner, and most of the sentry guns will be kind of, as I said, up on the raised ledge. So you can kind of base yourself up on this ledge here and kind of lure people into the trap of the sentry gun. So yeah, taking a look at this first position I mentioned, there is a metal pack behind me which is very useful. For now I'm putting the dispenser in here, and as you can see, the sentry gun is just on this little ledge here. It pretty much covers the little room below really nicely, and it also just about shoots outside through the window down there too. I do end up bringing my dispenser around this corner here, it feels a bit safer around there. I decided to put a telly down here. It's not massively necessary, but it might be useful for the team just to get a little bit further into the front lines. In this case, actually another engineer has joined me, which just makes it kind of even harder for the enemy to push past this room. Often the telly can be useful because spies just can't resist sapping them, so as they sap, they've given away their location and you can kind of take them out. But yeah, I mean, I think in the end it does actually go down, even though it's very tricky to take out, I find, especially as a demo man. In this example, a soldier's able to get an angle on it and successfully takes it down, so it's not impossible. And here I'm getting spammed from the window opposite as well, so you can go a bit pear-shaped here, but it's very easy to get set back up again. Just throw up another sentry gun and help to hold this last position. So definitely a spot worth checking out and playing around with. So yeah, as I said before, I mean, this little corner here, at the very least it's unexpected. If they see it, they'll probably be able to take it out quite easily, but you'll probably be able to get a few decent kills with it beforehand. Most people will be focused up to this main area here, and as you can see the soldier just kind of jumps in. They don't expect to be getting shot at from that angle, so we're able to take them out quite nicely. I tend to kind of stick up here with my dispenser. Important to have that up for the team, and then here we've got a combo who, as they get nearer, I suddenly kind of shoot down on them with my shotgun, and me alongside the sentry gun, we're able to kind of really push them back quite nicely. But yeah, I mean, it's just one to play around with really if you want to try something different. Most people will build kind of just on this ledge here somewhere, either side, like I said. To be fair, it's probably the safer option. You can kind of tank your sentry gun a lot easier if you want to, but I just thought this would be an interesting one to talk about. Another one I tried out briefly was up in the window to the right. It was good at protecting obviously the room up there, but it really didn't fire down onto the cart very well. So I kind of wrote that one off as not being that great. So weirdly, yeah, this is kind of one I tend to use quite often, I guess mainly just because it's kind of enjoyable to try out. So yeah, next week we'll be looking at the second map. There's loads of awesome spots on that map to try out, so I really look forward to chatting to you about that one. This by no means was a definitive guide, but just a few spots I like to play around with. Just some food for thought, maybe some inspiration for you to kind of try and find new spots yourself. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. If there's any awesome spots I missed, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.